Hello and welcome back to another episode of the On the Sideline podcast with Jackson and Kyle. I am Jackson, and I'm joined here, as always, by the man who would never run out of bounds 1 yard short of the first down marker. Kyle, how are you doing?
Doing great. Yeah, doing great. Feeling good. I got to feel like Tom Brady. I'm just winning right now, baby.
Why are you feeling so great?
I don't know. It's been a good day. I'm feeling better today. This was the first day I started feeling better. So we're on the up and up here. We are seeing winners today. I'm gonna get all my picks right this week. I can feel it.
Okay. Well, Kyle, we have a tie once again. I mean, this has been a very close game.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been heated outside of like basically me having a disaster first week of the season. It's been pretty close, been pretty competitive, as it always is.
Yes, it's weird how that seemingly happens. I guess neither one of us are that great at picks. It's just kind of we're doing our best.
We're trying. We're trying. This has been a
Yes.
hard year. I will say. I think the
Hmm.
early portion of this season was very difficult. I think
Yeah.
I think we've kind of figured it out now. But I think the first part of this season was tough. There was a lot of weird stuff happening.
Yeah, well, we didn't expect certain teams to completely fall off the map. We didn't expect like the Packers to be as bad as they ended up being. We didn't expect some teams to be as good as they ended up being, like the Jets. One of the teams trying to not be a mess this season looked like it was maybe over. Tampa Bay. How in the world does Tom Brady keep doing this, Kyle? I'm wearing my Buccaneers jersey. I feel like I have to after that game. I don't understand this. I had already recorded a video talking about how the season's basically over. This team doesn't deserve to make the playoffs. And then I didn't post it because they came back and won.
Huh. That's hidden somewhere waiting for next week, probably. Uh,
Exactly.
Bizarre game. Like, why is this team so hell bent on making things hard for themselves? That's what I just don't understand. Why do they keep
Hmm.
continuing to make things difficult on themselves? It's like they just play to like get to third down. It really does seem that way.
Yeah,
Like
it
they don't.
is. That's legitimately their strategy.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like usually you want to avoid a third down altogether. They're okay with like setting up 3rd and 6 and saying, "Oh, it was a manageable third down." No, you want to get the ball downfield quickly. It's very odd and very bizarre how this team's run and how it operates on offense. And then all of a sudden, it's like, okay, we're just going to go back and sling it. We're down 2 scores. They go and get 2 touchdowns and win this game.
Yeah, I don't know. This is the best 2 minute drill team of all time. Every 2 minute drill, they seemingly come through. It's the most obvious example of a team that clearly should be doing stuff differently, and just for whatever reason isn't. And I don't think they're ever going to. But hey, someone said 6-6, and we get a Bucs jersey. Absolutely, I'm having fun. This is the most fun Buccaneers game I had in quite some time. I could barely sleep at night. It was so exciting.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy that 6-6, and it feels like that felt like a monumental win for winning the division. They got a couple of tough games
Hmm.
coming up here. We're going to talk about one of them today, obviously. But then after that, like beating your divisional opponents goes a long way. They got 2 more divisional games left. It feels like if they win those 2 games, they're probably making the playoffs regardless of anything else.
Yeah, it feels like, yeah, you're right. And to have I forget who it is, the other team, but they have
Arizona.
three. Yeah, Arizona. So you have 3 teams that they're going to be favored in, 2 teams that are going to be underdogs. If you go 3-2 there, that would be enough to get you in. Honestly, if you go 2-3 there, that's probably enough. Also, Zachary Stewart saying, I'm calling you out for that Brady hate on Twitter, Jackson. Basically saying Brady needs a better coach to succeed. Brady has always gotten it done despite his regular poor coaching for 20 plus years. Zachary Stewart, big fan of the Brady, mocking the Brady stuff. But I appreciate the super chat, Zach.
Yeah, thank you. Feels like a dig at Belichick. I don't appreciate that.
No, I believe it is he is ironically saying that as a dig at Brady.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't appreciate that either. Still my guy.
Yeah, either way.
He's
No,
coming back.
but we appreciate a super chat. Say whatever you want. It's not whatever you want in the super chats, but within reason. In the super chats, we do always appreciate those. I mean, yeah, it feels like the Bucs are gonna make the playoffs. I still don't know realistically how good they are. This is kind of one of those situations where I'm fully in the camp of just get in and hope Brady magic happens. That's all I'm hoping for. And man, the Saints, what a disaster.
Yeah. Is Dennis Allen keeping this job? Like, it's a legitimate question, I think, at this point. Like, when we talked about these one and done coaches, we've talked about Todd Bowles as a one and done coach. We've talked
Hmm.
about Nathaniel Hackett. We've talked about Josh McDaniel. This might legitimately be a one and done coach. Like it's a disaster. Nothing on the team works. It just seems everything seems so poorly coached. Everything does.
Yeah, I don't know how much of it is we were just so used to seeing them be good with, with Sean Payton and like losing that hurt. You never want to be the guy replacing a great coach. That's always a tough spot. But yeah, I mean, it's been rough with him.
Yeah. It is a it's not going the way they want. There's still good players on this team though. That's the frustrating thing.
Yeah. Yeah. There's some. I mean, they have some issues as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think they do too, but like I don't know, does this feel like a 4-win football team, a 5-win football team maybe when it's all said and done?
I mean, no, I think they're better than that. I do think I think the Saints. I think you're right. I think the Saints do have talent. They're just not. The coaching is an issue, but I also don't think they're a great team.
Yeah. I think I agree with that. I think they should be around the 8-9 win mark personally, but they're not
As in
getting
at
it
the end of
done.
the season, right? Not right now.
Yeah. Yes, yeah. So like but even then like so I look at it like Atlanta at Cleveland at Philly, home to Carolina. It's not crazy to say they go 2-2 in that stretch and potentially end up with 6 wins this year. That feels like a massive letdown.
Yeah, and honestly, I mean, if they won this game, like the division was very much in reach. They would have been just half a game out. So, I mean,
Yeah.
slam the door shut here. Let's move on, though. We have a lot to get to today. A lot of interesting matchups. I think a lot of interesting ones. A couple, I think, ones that are maybe clunkers, but still some intrigue in those games. So, excited to talk about all of that stuff. As we mentioned, it is tied. So, since I picked first last week, this means Kyle, you are back to picking first. Give me a game.
All right, picking first this week. We are going to go with the one of the better rivalries I think in the league. Maybe better a few years ago. Not so much with these two teams that we're going to watch this weekend. Ravens at Steelers.
Yeah, this was first on my board as well. It's not the closest line, but we both had it first on our board because it just feels weird. I don't know what Ravens team we're going to see. The Steelers are 2.5-point favorites. It's in Pittsburgh. I think I'm still going to go Baltimore here. And the Steelers
Uh-huh.
always play the Ravens tough. I don't know. This just feels like a game where the I do think the Steelers have a lot of talent. I do feel like I'm interested in seeing how Kenny Pickett goes in this matchup. Kenny Pickett had been very good this season, but Baltimore, it's sort of a rivalry game, and Baltimore definitely knows how to scheme things up and surprise, especially young quarterbacks. I'm interested in seeing how Kenny Pickett will. I think he should do all right. I think he'll hold his own, but this could be it's a real challenge for him.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. I think he's been better as the season's gone on. I mean, he's looks like he's going to be a solid starting quarterback potentially. We'll see. The numbers still don't really like Pittsburgh. And they've started to win some football games. And I think like because I was actually leaning Pittsburgh in this matchup, but I'm like, this feels like the point where it's like, okay, I'm putting my faith in a rookie quarterback, and then he's overwhelmed by a team that is still a pretty good team despite Lamar Jackson being out. And, I don't think this defense been up to the, standards that we usually hold it to, but I still think it's been a pretty good defense this season. So I expect Baltimore to kind of impose its will. I expect them to throw a lot of blitzes potentially at Pittsburgh and try and confuse Pickett in the backfield. But we'll see how it works out. I think I'm leaning Baltimore right now too. I originally had Pittsburgh. I think I'm going to flip it the other way with you.
Interesting. Yeah. And I like Tyler Huntley. All right. Like Tyler Huntley's a fine. Like they have a good backup, right? Like that's another aspect. Is losing Lamar hurts, but Huntley, when he had to come in and play last year, he did a pretty good job.
He knows the system well. When you have a quarterback that knows
Hmm.
the system well, you can find success. So yeah, I agree. I think he should be able to be okay, but we've seen the Steelers defense start to play better the last few weeks too.
We've seen the Steelers team in general start to play better. I think that's probably why the Steelers are favored. Is you look at the stats from the entire season, definitely favors Baltimore, but Lamar's not there, and the Steelers have been playing much better these past. I think you could argue the Steelers these past few weeks have even been playing better than the Ravens with Lamar. You could argue that. So where they're at right now, that's where things get interesting. I do think this is a coin flip game. I can easily see this. Again, Steelers have TJ Watt back. They're definitely a better team with him. They've had him back the past couple of weeks. So, I think the Steelers are a solid team. I don't think they're a great team, but I think they're a solid team, and they could. This I was almost going to say they could pull off the upset. This isn't even an upset. They could win this football game.
Yeah, yeah, I think they could too. I am worried about the Ravens playmakers. I really am, because obviously it's looked bad since Bateman's been out, right? Like, and
Hmm.
Dobbins has been out too at the same time. And even when he was back, he wasn't looking like Dobbins of old. Um, See if he continues to work back from that knee injury and gets better. But yeah, I mean, I think without those two guys, it just seems like the cupboard is a little bare. I think, we had some expectations for Likely to be a pretty good tight end, but that's asking a lot of a rookie to be the number two guy basically at that tight end spot. And Andrews is still great. I just worried about who's getting the touches in this game to make this work.
Patrick Ricard
Yeah,
could
not
go
too excited about
fullback
that.
option. Yeah.
Not too
No.
excited.
Sure. Again, yeah, it's not great that I feel like their three best weapons on offense are two tight ends and a fullback.
Yeah. I mean, Drake has the opportunity to go get like 160-yard play, right? That's
That's
basically
true.
what he's
Yeah,
good
he's
for.
number four. Yeah,
Yeah.
those four are that's the great passing attack of the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah, that's a little scary.
Right. No. But again, the Ravens are weird, right? The Ravens don't need all that stuff. The Ravens work differently than other teams.
Yeah. So it'll certainly be interesting. I think the thing is they got to find a way to get to 17 in this game, and then hope their defense wins this one out. I'm interested to see. We've liked what we've seen from Pickens this season. He's been a little erratic, but I think he's been largely good. We like Deontay Johnson. Can they win matchups against these corners on the outside? I think that's going to be a big thing too.
Yeah, they can. They'll have opportunities. I mean, that probably will be what it comes down to.
Yeah. And despite some up and down play, I think the last couple seasons, these are still two good corners in the Ravens. I still like these two guys.
Yeah, I do as well. I think they ask a lot of those guys. Sometimes it doesn't go over well, but I agree with you. Let's move on. Let's just keep with Tampa Bay a little bit. The Battle of the Bays with Tampa Bay versus San Francisco. I am giving you my team 3.5 point underdogs against the San Francisco 49ers. Kyle, who you got?
Oh man, this was another one that I was kind of flip-flopping on. I think I am going to go San Francisco. I
Okay.
just think short week, traveling to San Francisco, that's going to be tough to overcome. There is a part of me that's like, okay, there's a real chance that if Tampa Bay wins this game, they basically have the division wrapped up and they can coast a little bit. But I just think that's a little too much to overcome despite the rookie quarterback. I think it's going to be low scoring. And I mean, the way they've played offense, I'm not inclined to think this offensive scheme is going to change for Tampa anytime soon. And the way they play this offense, I think you're just playing into what San Francisco wants to do, which is beat the hell out of you at the line of scrimmage. If you're going to play, conservative play calling on first and second down, and then try and convert third downs all the time, San Francisco is going to eat you alive. So, I don't trust Brock Purdy, although he looked, pretty good in his first game. I don't trust him necessarily to continue that even in his rookie year. So I don't know how much San Francisco is going to be able to do. They still got playmakers though, and I think they get enough of it.
Yeah. With chat, someone saying CMC going to make Jackson cry. Listen, wouldn't be the first time with that guy. With his Panthers days, he had a lot of good games against us. No, I think that I'm very fascinated in the Brock Purdy thing. I could see this going off the rails, Kyle. I could see a scenario, right, where Brock Purdy, I have San Francisco winning. I think that they deserve to be favored, just given the way this game has gone. But I could definitely see a scenario where Purdy comes in, plays against a good defense, and just like really struggles, right?
Yeah. I mean it. I mean, it's probably going to happen. Like, I wouldn't be
Hmm.
surprised if he's terrible. I mean, the thing is like he can't turn over the ball a lot. That's the big thing, right? Like he could
Right.
take sacks, he could have some incomplete mispasses, that kind of thing. He can't throw 3 interceptions in this game because that's just going to make it too easy for Tampa with short fields, and it's going to make it hard on their defense where they have a huge matchup advantage. This defense against the Tampa Bay offense, as long as he can kind of manage the game a little bit and not make mistakes, I think they'll be okay. And I mean, is there a better situation for a quarterback to end up in than in a Kyle Shanahan offense with Christian McCaffrey in the backfield, with Debo Samuel as your wideout doing all this reverse stuff, with Brandon Ayuk as your potential deep shot guy, with George Kittle as basically a sixth offensive lineman? Like, is there a better situation for a rookie quarterback to step in and try and, like, weather the storm and manage the game?
No, I mean this is the best situation. I mean, we said that when they drafted Trey Lance, right? Or it's like when they were
Yeah.
drafting third overall. It's like whoever they draft is probably going to be great in that system.
Yeah. And it just feels like, I don't I don't know if he's going to be, anything more than just this situation, but yeah, I mean, I think he might be able to go in and manage that situation and just not turn the ball over. I don't think he's going to light them up for 250 yards and a couple touchdowns or anything, but as long as the ball is taken care of and they can get a few points and, capitalize on some drives, I think this defense is going to win this game.
Yeah. The other thing too, I have to mention though, I don't know what's going on with this Tampa Bay defense. We talk about turnovers being fluky. 7 out of the last 8 games, they have not gotten a turnover if you exclude a Hail Mary interception. I mean, this is a team that's not generating turnovers right now at all. Like they're literally not generating turnovers.
Yeah. I mean, would that have to do with some of the guys that have been in and out of the lineup in the secondary potentially?
Possibly. I think that definitely plays a factor, but it's still been a good defense. Like it's still,
Yeah.
this season 8th in EPA per play. I believe it's 6th in points per drive. So the defensive statistics have still been good. You just imagine how good it would be if they got generated turnovers.
Yeah, and I mean, I think like Jamel Dean has had a good year, but yeah, you're right. It's just weird that they aren't able to capitalize on that. I don't really know. It it does feel like it could be fluky. So maybe this is the game it kind of bounces back in their favor. But I think if you look at it, like the playmakers on this defense, like Davis has missed some time. I think what Winfield missed a game too, and Barrett's been
Hmm.
out, and he's their
Yeah.
sack guy. So I mean, I think some of that not having playmakers on defense, even though they're good defensive players, I think plays a part in it.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, last thing, Levante David's just been amazing this year.
Isn't he always?
Yeah, he always is, but he still want to bring it up.
Yeah, I mean, he's what been one of, if not the best linebacker of the last 10 years. I guess you probably put Bobby Wagner in that conversation. He's incredible. He's always
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah, Luke Kuechly also, those guys all from the same draft class. I believe they're from the same draft class, at least around the same era. Both, 3 good linebackers.
Yeah, there's been a real push I saw the last couple of days for Nick Bosa to enter the Defensive Player of the Year conversation. I'm seeing a lot of
Interesting.
graphics comparing his numbers to Micah Parsons.
Interesting. He's been really good. I said this a few weeks ago. Like, why aren't we talking about him more? He's been amazing this year. He's been amazing the past few years. We forgot about him for some reason.
Yeah, I mean, I can't explain that. I mean, he is terrific. I think there's still like a narrative, which I think is kind of true, that Fred Warner's the best defensive player on this team, so that Nick
Hmm.
Bosa just doesn't get the credit. But like, they're both terrific in their own right, in their own positions.
Yeah, it's not his fault. He also has, maybe the best linebacker in football playing behind him.
Yeah, uh, it's very odd, but yeah, I've seen that. I've seen that pop up the last few days. It's a conversation now.
Yeah, I think so. Let's move on. Kyle, give me a game.
All right, I'll go ahead and take the other low line. Let's go. Patriots at Cardinals.
All right. I gave you
Monday
my
night.
team, so you're giving me your team. Yeah, I had the Patriots winning this one. I feel okay about it. I actually had a couple games still on my list ahead of this one. Just because, I don't know, I've been the biggest Patriots fan on this podcast, it feels like, with how high I've been on them this year. I don't think they're a great team. I think they have issues, especially on offense. Everyone knows that. And their defense has been spotty this year. But, Hopkins should give them some trouble, but outside of that, Belichick will probably double Hopkins all game, and I think that they should be okay. I do think New England wins this one.
I see a scenario where it happens. I mean, I guess the couple of my issues here are that like I've brought it up a bunch of times. I don't need to say it again, but the the mobile quarterback issue has been a problem for this Patriots defense.
Right.
The big
Hmm.
problem with it, I mean, the obvious problem with it is that they have all these guys in coverage who are really good. It's man coverage though. Their backs to these mobile quarterbacks. They run. The linebackers that the Patriots deploy are Jelani Tavai and Jawan Bentley, who just aren't mobile enough to keep up with these fast quarterbacks. I think they're good at the things they want Patriots linebackers to do, which is go up and basically run people over. They're both pretty good at that. They're not good at chasing quarterbacks down sideline to sideline or chasing running backs sideline to sideline in coverage. So I think that's a big problem why they struggle so much against mobile quarterbacks. That being said, like I don't know, like this Cardinals offense has looked kind of lifeless against everybody. You have Kyler Murray complaining about the scheme. You have Kyler Murray complaining about, the situations. He's seen, a lot of bad attitude, it seems like, on the sideline. Why should I trust this Cardinals team to do anything against this Patriots defense just because they have a fast quarterback?
Yeah, I mean that's the reason, right? That's the way today would be successful. I'm with you. I still feel like, well, the Patriots can give up stuff with mobile quarterbacks. Feels like the Cardinals at times. I'm not saying always, they have had their occasional good defensive performance, but it feels like a lot of times you see them, and it doesn't matter what quarterback you have, they're going to be able to be successful against you.
Well, this is the big thing. So, like, this is going to be a real telling game, I feel like, for the Patriots offense, too, on the other side. The Cardinals are dead last in the league in drop back success rate defensively. They're not a very good secondary. They're just
No.
not.
Hmm.
The Patriots have to be able to prove that they can throw the ball. They've had a couple good games in a row here. They have to prove that they can throw the ball and have success throwing the ball downfield in this game, I feel like. Because if they're not exposing the Cardinals' weakness, then this game is definitely losable. They're definitely dropping this game. And probably kissing their playoff hopes goodbye. But yeah, I mean, they have to be able to throw and have success throwing the ball in this defense.
If the Patriots lose, are they dead?
Yes.
Okay.
Two
If the
toughest schedule
Cardinals
to end the season.
Cardinals are already dead, right? I mean, they're 4-8. I guess technically they have a chance, but it's just too much to come back from, right? Even though we have a fan of the chat who's saying that they're going to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I think it's too much to overcome at this point. I think the Cardinals are done. I think this is probably Cliff Kingsbury's last year. I could see Cliff as maybe he puts on a good performance and tries to audition for the Patriots offensive coordinator job next season.
Oh,
That he played in New England. He played with Brady.
okay.
Bring
Well,
Cliff and Brady back together.
yeah, exactly. So he's going to San Francisco then?
No, New England.
Yeah, no. Yeah, it should be an interesting one though. The Patriots try to stay alive, and the Cardinals try to stay alive too. Both trying to see what they can do. Let's move on, Kyle. I'm going to give you. I'm going to give you the Dolphins at the Chargers. I feel like every week I give you the Chargers. Who do you got?
Who do you think I'm taking? I'm taking the
Hmm.
Miami Dolphins. I like this matchup. I feel like, Tua, I guess, has been questionable this week, but I'm not deterred. I feel good about the Dolphins winning this game. I think they're the better team here. I thought last week was a bit of a letdown. Even then, they still hit some big plays in that game. And that
Yeah.
San Francisco defense is legit. I think they're going to hit plenty of big plays against this Cardinals team. I think they're going to be able to run the ball against this Cardinals team because I think one of the things about the Dolphins is they've run the ball okay the last few weeks. Since they made who'd they get at the deadline? Jeff Wilson. But it seems like whoever they put back there right now is having a little bit of success running the ball. And I think that's because people are concerned about their ability to throw the ball downfield. And this Chargers defense isn't good on either side of the ball. They're not good stopping the run. They're not good stopping the pass. Give me the Dolphins. They're going to roll with this one.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I also have the Dolphins winning this, but I can definitely see upset potential here. I think that
Mhm.
the reality is, for one thing, the Tua versus Justin Herbert thing, that's always very, that's fun. It's actually, at first, it was, can you believe the Dolphins drafted Tua over Herbert? Now it's a discussion. I think most people would still side with Herbert, but it is a discussion now. So interesting to see those two guys go at it. And it feels like it's going to come down to, who can score the most points. And for a Chargers team that I feel like we've seen them start to show signs of life with receiving core as of late, with Keenan Allen coming back, can this be a game where they can outpass the Dolphins, which is probably how they'll have to win it? Maybe they'll have to win it 38-35 or something like that, but that's not out of the question here.
Yeah, it's not out of the question. The reason why I'm not locking this game up is because I'm afraid of Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert's
Uh-huh.
still a really good quarterback, and I think he's had a terrific year. I think what he's had to
Hmm.
deal with and the got bodies falling apart around him and having to deal with replacement level players stepping in. I think he's had a really good season. I think he's been really good for this Chargers team, and they're only in conversation for a playoff spot because he's been that good. I mean, he's fourth in passing this season. I think he deserves every bit of praise that he's been able to get this season. It's not all social media based. I think he's a good quarterback. So it'll be interesting to see how they match up because, I mean, we saw it again with Brock Purdy stepping in and having success. This Dolphins secondary we thought was going to be really good and potentially the best in football has not been that. And they've dealt with injuries. They've dealt with the same issues that we've been talking about, but it hasn't been as good as we thought. And I think there's going to be opportunities to throw on them on the other side too.
Kyle, let's talk about this. I don't know if it hasn't been announced if Teron Armstead, what his situation is, but there's a very real chance that we are looking at yet another week without him. And if that's the case, I know that the Chargers defense is not the San Francisco 49ers defense, but they have Khalil Mack, who has been really good this season, especially in a pass rush situation. We talk about if you can pressure Tua, who, by the way, Tua leading the league in most Pro Bowl votes, which is fantastic. That's maybe a way you can attack him here, and maybe that could they get a big play or two that way?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I'd be a little more concerned if it was Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack playing. But now
Mm-hmm.
that it's just Khalil Mack, I think they might be able to scheme a little bit more to protect their guy. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, Khalil Mack's still a terrific player, so there's still the opportunity that he makes a few big plays in this game, without a doubt.
Yeah, absolutely. Should be a fun one between those two teams. Let's hope so. Let's move on. Kyle, give me a game.
All right. Let me rack my brain a little bit here. Let's go with this is a fascinating game. We were on this a few weeks ago. I want to say we were ahead of the curve on this. We were backing on the Bengals before anybody else. It seems like everybody's all of a sudden backing on the Bengals. Everyone's in on the Bengals. Well, here comes the Browns. Despite the success the last 2 years, this is the one team still kind of the thorn in the side of the Bengals. How do they match up with Cleveland this week?
Wow. Kind of a reach here, Kyle.
You think so? This
Yeah,
feels trappy.
I don't know. This feels like a read. There's several ones, several closer lines on this. I don't know. Feels a bit of a. I had the Bengals. I'm surprised by this line. I will say that. I was surprised it was 6.5. I'm picking the Bengals to win this one. You're right. We just saw the Browns kind of dominate the Bengals, but I believe that was a Thursday night game, if I remember correctly. Which you've talked about a lot. How weird things happen on those games, and division matchup, anything can happen. I'm not saying the Bengals can't. Are definitely going to. I'm not saying the Browns can't win this game. I think they absolutely can. Again, Watson is back. He didn't look great his first game, but maybe you got some reps. Maybe he will. How rusty will he still be? I think that's possible. And also, Jamar Chase is back in this game. He wasn't in the last game, and Jamar Chase was ridiculously awesome against the Chiefs. So I do think the Bengals win, but I think I would take the Browns plus 6.5.
Yeah. So it wasn't, they lost 32-13 earlier in the season. Then if you go back to 2021 too, week 18, the Cleveland Browns won 21-16. Joe Burrow didn't play in that game, so give him the benefit of the doubt. Week 9, it was 41-16 Browns. So 3 in a
Wow.
row go to Cleveland's way.
I remember that game. That was Nick Chubb went off, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. 2 of them big weeks. So I know, Deshaun Watson gets another week of practices. Maybe, they fine-tune things a little bit. Obviously, he was bad in his first game back. I still think eventually he's going to become good again. I don't think this is going to be a permanent struggle for him at the spot. Kevin Stefanski right now, I would say, has Zach Taylor's number. It could continue this week. But yeah, I mean, I do think it is the Bengals game to lose. I think they are the better team. They're at home. They're on a bit of a roll. Just a little trappy with the divisional matchup, and it hasn't gone the Bengals' way the last few times.
Yeah, and I can kind of see why too. Like the Browns do like to play a lot of cover two. That's pretty much what they do. And so not only are they a team that does can do that, but like that's what they do. So when the Bengals, who for the most part have not done as well against that, that's where they can struggle. But I do think that adding Jamar Chase will help a lot, if not for the yards, at least for the being a decoy here.
Yeah, I mean it's going to be interesting to see how they match up because Chase is just it's like going against Steph Curry in basketball where Steph's movement just attracts so much attention and contorts the defense in a direction that you don't really want it to do. Chase's ability not just to catch balls and make plays, but be so big and draw so much attention, I think opens up everything else for this Bengals offense. And I think that's been a big thing where like Samaje Perine can step in and have a big game on the ground against Kansas City because Chase just draws so much attention on the outside.
Yeah. One last thing I have to say. Are we talking enough about David Njoku and how he's performed this season? Pro Football Focus's second highest rated tight end this year. This is the guy who was kind of considered almost a bust at a certain point. He's now looking great. He had I think he's made some amazing catches this year. He had one against Tampa Bay that forced overtime. That was, he saved the day. It was on a 4th down, and he made this incredible catch for overtime. So give him some love.
Yeah, it's been good. I mean, he has had 5 trade requests, it feels like, in his time in Cleveland.
Uh-huh.
It somehow has stuck it out all this time and it's still there. And yeah, I mean, he was a little bit like Gerald Everett for me, where it's like I feel like you should be 10 times better than you are, but then the numbers just weren't there. He'd have a couple awesome catches, and it seems
Hmm.
like he's putting it together this season for sure.
Yeah, so good stuff there. I'm gonna give you a game now. I'm gonna give you. You could argue this one's a reach if you want to. I'm gonna give you Panthers at Seahawks. Kyle, who do you got?
Yeah, I mean, I still like the Seahawks here. I get the line a little bit more because, the Seahawks haven't performed to the standard that, that you could say they overperformed earlier in the season, but they were statistically grading out consistently as a top 10 team in the NFL. They haven't looked like a top 10 team in the NFL the last few weeks. This Panthers defense is pretty good. They've looked very good. I think even when this team has struggled a lot this season, I still think the defenses look very good. And it's only one game sample size, but Sam Darnold looked a little better than anything else they had at the quarterback spot. So I could see a little bit of the trap situation there. I'm still taking the Seahawks though. I think, Geno Smith, Tyler Lockett, and DK Metcalf, they're just on another level of talent.
Yeah, I'm with you. It's an interesting game though. I do find this one fascinating. I think that with the, you know, I think pretty much you laid it out perfectly. I do think the Seahawks are still good. I don't think the Seahawks are a bad team. I'm not off the Seahawks necessarily. I did say earlier in the season, is it possible the Seahawks stink? I don't think that's true though. I don't think they stink. I think that they are a bad team though, getting propped up by Geno Smith, Tyler Lockett, and DK Metcalf.
Yeah, I think that's definitely the case. So,
But that team could still
uh,
win some games.
yeah, exactly, and they're still going to be fine. The big thing, I haven't seen anything on what's his name, Kenneth Walker and his health, but he's another part. When he's healthy, he's a big part
Hmm.
of that offense. I guess he is questionable. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, I mean, if he could be out there too, I mean, there's just good players on this offense too. I mean, I like Noah Fant too. I don't think Goodwin's a terrible third guy. I think you just go up and down this lineup and say when they're healthy, this is a really good offense and it can really click. The defense does leave a lot to be desired, but like even if Sam Darnold is good, I don't think this Panthers offense is going to light you up.
Yeah, I think I agree. I mean, again, that's the way they win, though, right? It's not lighting them up, but scoring. I don't know, 21.
Yeah. I mean, they're going to use Dante Foreman. They're going to use Sam Darnold in the ground game. They're going to try and control the clock here. And they're going to lean on that defense, which has been, very good this season. I don't know if it's going to work, but that's what they're going to try and do.
Yeah, should be. Again, is this the game we're all tuning in to see? I don't know, but I could see this being the one that we don't really pay attention to. But then all of a sudden, sort of when we're getting close to the end of the game, we're like, oh, everyone's watching at the end.
Yeah, it's on our red zone feed for the last 2 minutes just because it's like the last game on and it's like a 4 point game down the stretch.
Yeah, I think something like that. Yeah, that makes it right at the, that's the last game before the Sunday night game. Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah, that's something that could happen, definitely.
All right. Well, let's move on. Kyle, give me a game.
All right. Not loving a lot of these selections here.
Hmm.
Let's go with Jaguars at Titans.
Jaguars Titans. This is a good one. Well, it's an okay one. I have the Titans winning. I don't know. I, I kind of get the line. I could see the Jaguars covering this 3.5 point spread, but I do feel like the Titans. I don't know. I'm not freaking out over them getting burned by AJ Brown. That's what a lot of teams have had that happen. I still think this Titans defense should play well against the Jaguars offense, and I think the Titans offense should play well against the Jaguars defense. I think this is going to be. I think the Titans win, and I think the Titans cover as well.
Yeah, I think that's probably fair. The worries are Traylon Burks is concussed, so I don't know if he's going to play this week. I would guess probably not. They're already down basically every other. Like if I'm looking at their depth chart right now, guess how many receivers right now don't have a questionable tag next to them or
Is
an IR tag?
well, out of how many?
There is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 receivers on their depth chart.
7 receivers. How many do not have a question? I don't know. Three?
There's 2 healthy receivers, it says right now. Robert
Not
Woods
great.
and Nick Westbrook-Akine. I think I said
Uh-huh.
it right. But yeah, so like I don't know, the cupboard's a little bare right now. It seems like in Tennessee. So I'd be a little worried about that. Not to mention there's just, they're a little banged up and while I'm not worried necessarily like you said about the guys, AJ Brown went nuts last week like you said. The Jaguars don't have anybody close to AJ Brown's caliber receiver. So I'm not worried about that. there just does feel a little bit of upset potential because of those injuries, and Titans just kind of banged up in couple weak games.
Yeah, I get it. I don't know. It feels I do feel like the Titans though. Don't they kind of? I feel like every now and then. Well, for one thing, maybe it's just the memory of that 99-yard Derrick Henry touchdown run. But I do feel like I expect Derrick Henry to play well against the Jaguars' run defense, which has been solid this year, but not great.
Yeah, yeah. I think you should be able to still have success. So we'll see. But yeah, I mean, I do think that there's a roadmap here to a Jaguars victory, right? Like it's not like
What
likely
is
to
that
happen.
roadmap? I'm
Lawrence
just
looks,
curious.
yeah. I mean, it's got to be Lawrence looks good, and Lawrence looks like he does the last 2 weeks prior to last week. They're able to control the ball that way. They're able to hit some big plays, and then you have some Doug Peterson magic thrown in there, and then I think a lot of it would have to come down to Tennessee just doesn't have the bodies to stay healthy.
Yes. Zachary Stewart says who will try to play football better, Jags D line or Titans D line. I think which defensive line do you trust more in this one? I think got to go to Titans, right?
Yeah, as long as Simmons is out there, I trust him
Uh-huh.
over anybody else. I mean,
Yeah, I
Simmons is
think
one of the best in the league.
yeah, I think I trust Simmons with just 3 replacement level defensive linemen than most defensive lines.
Yeah, exactly. What'd you think of the GM thing though? That was weird, right?
Yeah, I don't get that.
That was very bizarre.
I mean,
Like,
I get getting rid of him. I think that's reasonable. I don't think that's. It makes me wonder if something happened behind the scenes that made this happen. Because like, why now is the weird thing. Like what can he really do to mess anything up? If you want to fire him at the end of the season.
was it actually reasonable? I mean, this team's been good for a couple of years without I don't know. It's not like they're getting high draft picks all the time. It's not like they're I don't what was these I guess the one thing would be why trade AJ Brown? Like would that
Yeah.
be the only reason to fire a guy? Is
Well,
that
I
a
mean,
fireable offense?
they've made some rough draft picks as of late as well. I mean, they had
That's
they
fair.
drafted a guy in the first round that didn't even what we got cut during preseason.
Yeah, he didn't play a game or something, right? So yeah,
Hmm.
that's fair.
Yeah. So I mean, again, I'm not saying that like the Dylan Radune's pick, which was interesting, did not work out. The Caleb Farley pick, which those are two guys I was interested in. I like Caleb Farley, but those picks just haven't worked out. You have you can't say well Farley's been hurt. The whole concern about him was that he kept getting hurt. So like that's why
Yeah.
he fell in the draft. And then listen, the draft pick this year has looked solid with Traylon Burks. That's definitely worked out. But then AJ Brown's been amazing. So I think it's reasonable to make the decision. I just don't get the timing.
Yeah, that could be the case. It'll be I don't know. We'll see what happens. I think this team's slipping a little bit. I think they should still win this division, but you definitely don't want to drop one of these games to the Jags and give them hope, right?
Yeah. Well, what's I'm trying to look up what the
I mean,
situation.
they're going to
So
be
they're
what 3 or 4 games up now.
yeah. So they're 7-5. The Jaguars are 4-8. So they're already 3 games up. So if they win this one, I'm trying to think that would almost clinch them a playoff spot right there. So they would only they'd be close because the Colts are a half game ahead of the Jaguars. So they're on the verge of actually they're a quarter game on the Jaguars. The Colts have one more tied. And is that I guess that's tied. No, their winning percentage is better. That broke my brain for a
Yes.
second, Kyle. Having one more tie than how you what you refer to that as. But but the Titans are a team. I mean, Titans are going to win the division even if they lose this game. I guess there's a chance the Jaguars play the Titans twice more, so they're going to have to sweep. But it feels unlikely. It feels like this is the Titans.
Yeah, Jaguars would have to win twice and then basically go on a heater because they can't drop any more games after that, too.
Or the Titans could just fall off.
Right.
Maybe the
Yeah,
GM
they
was
could.
putting it all together.
Yeah, I mean they could slip and then maybe an 8-9 team wins this division, but I don't see that happening. I don't see it falling that far, right?
Yeah, probably not. That would be interesting, but yeah, no. I think this is the Titans division. Interesting thing to think about, but no. I feel like at this point in the season, there's still like technically so many teams that have a chance that we just like run through all these narratives, even though like they're obviously not going to happen.
Yeah, we got to find something to talk about.
Exactly, Kyle. I'm giving you Vikings Lions. The Lions are favored. Are you locking up the Vikings here?
Yeah, I'm going to do it.
Okay.
The Lions are playing good football. I'll give them that. They're playing very good football. Am I all of a sudden going to trust Detroit now in this spot as the favorites to win when I could just take the Vikings to win straight up? I'm not going to trust them that much. They've played good football. They're still the inferior team here, in my opinion. This feels wrong. Give me the Vikings to win this one.
Yeah, not a bad pick. I was considering locking this one as well. I had a couple that I was willing to lock. This one was one of them because for the Vikings. Yeah, I had the Vikings winning as well. Kyle, I don't get why the Lions are favored here. I really don't. I mean, I don't know. I feel like so I was looking at this. I think people pay too much attention to points scored and points allowed. I think that's a big thing because I believe the Vikings offense has really struggled in like points. I think they've struggled in both of those two categories. Whereas you look at kind of more advanced statistics, I'm not saying they've been like incredible or anything, but they haven't been like bottom 10 in offense. They've been kind of mediocre in like EPA and something like that. So I guess I get it. It's not like this is they're a team that's kind of they have some weird statistics there as an sort of a mediocre offense, mediocre defense, and yet they're still winning a bunch of games. But I just feel like they've been better than maybe even what that would say. I think this is still a good Vikings team. They just had a couple bad games.
Well, they've been blown out twice, and that's going to skew it.
Right.
The thing is that they were blown out twice to the two best teams in the NFC. Like, I mean, I think San Francisco was in that conversation until Garoppolo got hurt, but I'm confident right now saying Dallas and Philadelphia are the two best teams in the NFC. They were blown out by both of those teams. You know what Detroit isn't? One of the two best teams in the NFC. So that's where I think this comes in. Now, granted, I'm skeptical of Minnesota. I think that there's a massive amount of stuff that I'm questionable on. They've had a lot of luck in one-score games. They basically won every one-score game they've played in this season, and they've only had I'm doing the quick, check here myself. They basically only had one game this season that they won that wasn't a one-score game win. That screams to a lot of luck and a lot of, favor going their way. I just think this is one of those games where they're facing a team that they have a better roster than. I think this Lions defense has played a lot better. The secondary has played a lot better this season. But now they're going up against, Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen and KJ Osborne and TJ Hawkinson. And there's just too many guys there that I think it's going to be really tough to cover. Kevin Connell, I think, has done a really good job scheming up these guys. I think it's going to be a really tough time for the secondary to have that success.
Yeah. This comment made me laugh. Vikings without Jefferson equal poop. I mean, that's just good comedy, Kyle.
Yeah. Well, good news they have Jefferson. So
yeah, that's exactly right. No, you're right. I mean, I agree with everything about that. I agree that the Lions defense has looked better, but like against the Vikings, will they be able to be successful? I just don't know. I do think the Lions could be able to score some points. That's the key, right? To win in a shootout. And for the Lions, I mean, if they win this game, this could be one of the bigger wins they've had in quite some time, as it would put them right in a playoff spot with, the final four games being the Jets, Panthers, Bears, and Packers. They could easily go 3-1 in that stretch potentially if they could pull off this one, which they're favored at home. I mean, Kyle, there's pressure on the Lions for the first time in seemingly forever.
Yeah, there really is. I mean, this is a big spot for them because they have winnable games coming up to make this interesting, but they really need to continue this run they're on. They've won, 4 of their last 5? But, and I continue to say, this defense has played well. I'm giving it credit for that. If you look at their last opponents, though, it was Jacksonville, Buffalo, who I didn't think they played even that well against. They gave up 28 in that game. I mean, they were solid, but not great. The Giants, Chicago, who they gave up 30 against, although they did have the game-winning pick 6 or whatever it was. And then Green Bay, who hasn't been a very good offense this season. So it feels like that we're jumping the gun a little bit here with this one.
I think so. I looked up at the first game. It was a 4-point game, and the yards per play was just only a 0.1 difference. Vikings had a very slight edge in yards per play, so it was a competitive game throughout. So that's maybe part of why this is the case. But the way the Vikings win, right? I agree with you that I think the Lions shouldn't be favored, but there is definitely a chance the Lions win, right? There's a chance that they can put up 30 points in this one.
Yeah, I mean the first time they played it was close. It was. I mean. It wouldn't be inconceivable that the Lions win this game, but I feel like if I'm going to get the odds, if I'm looking at it from an odds perspective, I'd pick the Vikings straight up. And if I feel like if I just need the Vikings to win, I'm going to pick the Vikings to win because I think, it's completely okay to be skeptical of this Vikings team. I am very skeptical of this Vikings team as a contender, as a 2-loss team, but I just think they're better than the Lions right now, and that's okay.
Yeah. Should be an interesting one, though. Definitely one of the games of the week, potentially. It was the game on the thumbnail, so there you go. Kyle, give me a game.
All right. Don't love a lot of these games left. Let's go with team desperate, I think, for a win here coming up. Let's go Eagles at Giants, divisional matchup.
Eagles at Giants. Kyle, we're back-to-back locks. I'm locking up the Eagles here, -6.5. When I did my analytical power rankings, which I did this week, the Giants were 29th in football. This Giants team, they've been incredibly well coached. They've been opportunistic at times, but this has not been a good football team. This has not been a talented football team, I should say. They're winning football games. You have to give them credit for that. But I don't know. I just don't have that much faith in this Giants team. I think that the Eagles win and they cover the 6.5 point spread.
Uh, yeah, yeah, I agree. I think that this is. I mean, the one thing would be like the Giants. What try and gimmick their way through this, and they do that read option game that they have with those two, but even that the last few weeks hasn't really worked. So, like teams are just daring them to throw at this point, and they don't have receivers, and I think I have a hard time seeing how they can get to a 20-point mark, which I think they need to beat the Eagles in this one.
Yeah, and you think about, Daniel Jones done a better job at protecting the football this year, but the other thing worth mentioning, the Eagles' run defense, as you pointed out, has not been as good as maybe you would expect given the players on it. But this feels like a game where I could see Daniel Jones making some mistakes. Maybe it's a revenge game for James Bradbury, perhaps.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it really could be, and I mean, I still think the secondary is good. And if we keep seeing teams pile people in the box, like I know that the Eagles' defense, I think, has played pretty conservative, and they play kind of deep coverage stuff, but they have the guys that they should dominate on the outside, right? They have corners that should win one-on-one matchups on the outside. They should be able to stack the box and kind of dominate this game, I feel like.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, absolutely. The way that let's maybe shift gears and talk about how do the Giants win this game. I think on one side, you run the ball a lot, that you run the ball effectively, you get some points that way, and you limit possessions. The flip side, though, I think actually the worst matchup for this Giants team is how do they defend this passing attack that's destroying everybody. It seems like, and you have a situation where I just don't know what the Giants do defensively against AJ Brown. I don't know what they do offensively against Devonta Smith. I don't know what they do there.
Yeah, that's a really tough matchup. Um, I don't know what they do either. And even then, like, I still think the Eagles are going to have success running the ball if they want to. I think this Eagles offense presents a lot of problems for teams right now because if they want to just shut it down and go into this read option scheme, they can beat teams basically going up and down the field on that. If they want to, throw the ball downfield with these receivers, they can do that too. It's a huge matchup problem, I think, for everybody. Uh, I mean, they have to force Hurts into mistakes, which he just hasn't made this season, and I don't know if he is going to make this season. So that's really what it's going to have to come down to.
Yeah. On top of this, the Eagles have a top 5 pick with the Saints, so the
Yeah.
things are going well in Philadelphia. What is Kyle's opinion of the Giants tight end group? Kyle, we're all dying to know the question that we were all thinking. How do you feel about the Giants tight end group?
Um, I got to be honest. I pulled this up real quick because that was a weird question. I watch a lot of football. I don't know who these guys are.
Daniel Bellinger, right? He was a 4th round pick. I remember scouting him. Liked him a little. He's played well according to PFF grades. I haven't watched him, but I haven't studied his tape that much.
Cool.
hmm Yeah.
That's what I got for you.
All right.
You know who has been good for the Giants?
Who's
Kayvon
that?
Thibodeau. Very good.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's due for a
Absolutely.
couple splash plays all the time.
Yeah. No. He's been and Dexter Lawrence too. They got some good players on the defensive line, and
Yeah,
Andrew Thomas. I mean, they have some guys on the who hasn't been good. Evan Neal.
he has been bad. He has been
Yeah,
bad.
he struggled. Yeah, but hey, Andrew Thomas struggled his first year as well, and those guys got some comparisons. So maybe it could work out. We'll just have to wait and see. Let's move on. Kyle, I'm giving you a game. I'm thrilled to still have this game available. I think this is a crazy line. Jets Bills. Jets down. Jets are 9.5 point favorites in this one. Or excuse me. 9.5 point underdogs in this one to the Buffalo Bills. They beat the Bills just a few weeks ago. I think we're both going to pick the Bills to win this one, but I don't know about 9.5 points.
Yeah, I don't like the line, but I'm taking the Bills to win. They're still the better team. The
hmm
Jets have, I don't know. I mean, they could win this game again, but I don't see it happening 2 times in a row, right? Like that was a kind of a weird game. Josh Allen was, I mean, it was Josh Allen's worst game of the season by far, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I mean, these are very good cornerbacks on this Jets secondary, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if they're going to be able to do this again. I don't see that happening. So give me the Bills here. But they do play well. I think they match up pretty well just because they have those guys on the outside and all of them have played well. I just can't bet it.
Yeah. We have Scott in the chat saying they meant to pick the earlier one. They won with Wilson, saying they can win with Mike White. That is interesting to me. The intrigue here comes from, I agree. I'm fascinated in seeing Josh Allen's take two against this Jets defense. I think he'll do better. He did not play well in that game. You're right. I'm interested in seeing Mike White, who his last memory of last season was getting crushed against Buffalo. Now getting another opportunity going into Buffalo. We kind of said if he can survive this game, it's just his job. You don't even question it. That it is what it is. Mike White is the guy for at least the rest of the season. Is he going to do that? How is he going to play in this one?
Well, we'll see. I think he can have success. This is the Bills defense that I think was red hot to start the season. I still think is a good defense, but I think, it's 21st right now in dropback success rate. I think they're okay back there, but I don't think they've been great, mainly to do with a lot of injuries. And Von Miller's still out as far as I can tell. So yeah, I mean, if they're going to, be down one of their best edge rushers and their secondary is still a little beat up, I think I got to lean on, he can have success in this game.
Yeah, they're a weird team with, the 21st in dropback success rate, as you said, but 10th best in dropback EPA defensively, the Bills are. So that's kind of a weird, they get I guess they get the splash plays, which, again, I feel like Mike White will give up. Like, I don't think,
Yeah.
I feel like we see this all the time with these young quarterbacks, like Davis Mills, Mike White, Taylor Heineke. These guys like have no expectations that when they come in and just look decent, people are like the next Tom Brady.
Yeah, exactly. Greg Russo is also out. So, I mean, they're down a couple pass rushers. I mean, even then, like Shaq Lawson and, they still have guys that can get after the quarterback, but it's a little beaten up. So, yeah, I mean, he's definitely going to be prone to possibly turning over the ball in this game. And I think I could see multiple turnovers that kind of derail this thing. That being said, like, it also wouldn't shock me if he has a pretty good game.
Yeah, I mean, he's played well since he's got really. I mean, this has been a win. This move. I mean, I thought he played well last week, even though the numbers won't show it. He torched the Bears, which it's the Bears. You expect him to, but still, you get credit for that. It's just an interesting game. I don't think it's crazy that the Jets can pull this victory off.
I don't think so either. Garrett Wilson's been very good the last few weeks. I think that, this Jets team has stuff to it that is dangerous. Like, if you just, it's a good roster, isn't it? Like, if you just look through it, there's good players across the team. They have pretty good receivers, I think. They have, I think, decent players on this offensive line, even though, they still haven't been able to, who's the tackle that keeps getting hurt? Who's the guy? Mekhi Becton. Can't stay healthy.
Yes, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I lay out the dry there. Sorry about that.
it's all good. They have good play. They have a very good defensive line. They have good linebackers, and the secondary is now elite with Sauce Gardner playing at this level. So yeah, I think you look up and down this roster. This is a good roster, and they could definitely win a lot of football games.
Yeah, should be an interesting. What's your final score prediction for this one?
Let's go 24-17 Bills.
17 Bills. Yeah, I was thinking something similar. I think it's like maybe like 24-20 Bills.
Yeah, I could see it being close. I think the Jets cover.
Okay, so that's our official prediction for that one. Kyle, give me a game. We have 3 games left.
All right. I thought about locking this game up. I thought you were going to lock it up. Neither one of us did, but this is still feels like a pretty slam dunk game right now. The red hot Las Vegas Raiders at the Los Angeles Rams.
Yeah, I can never lock up this Raiders team. I feel like that's playing with fire. You don't know which team you're going to get. If they play up to their potential, which we've seen them do, this should be an easy victory. But hey, I mean, we just saw the Rams. The Rams are not dead yet necessarily. I mean, well, they're dead, but I mean, like they're not just phoning it in. We saw them really give their all against that Seahawks team. You got a Thursday night game, which weird things happen on Thursday night. You can't, you can't go into this game if you're the Raiders and just expect a win. That being said, I expect a win from them. This is a game that they should win, and you're right. This is a game that you could potentially lock, but this just feels like the ultimate. Like this feels like just such a Raiders letdown game, doesn't it? In prime time, a game everyone's expecting them to win. This has Raiders letdown game written all over it.
I mean, I guess, but like, do we like it? Would this is this actually like possible? Like
Baker Mayfield
this,
could play.
I don't. There's no way he's playing this quickly.
Probably
There's
not. That
no.
would be very Josh Freeman on the Vikings kind of thing.
Yeah, that would be very surprising. I mean, I just I look at this Rams team and I'm like, I don't know how they do anything. Like, so there's no Aaron Donald, there's no Ashawn Robinson, there might not be a Troy Hill out in this game. So like they're already down one corner, and like even you say, okay, Jalen Ramsey's excellent, like Devontae Parker might just, negate that entire thing that you think is the strength of your defense. Having a guy in Jalen Ramsey as your lockdown corner, Devontae Adams probably gets his numbers on anybody. He could easily win that matchup. This is
You called
also
him go ahead.
what it is. Oh, did I say Devontae
Earlier you
Parker?
said Devontae Parker the first time, which I thought was funny.
Oh man, Devontae Adams.
Basically the same player.
Yeah, exactly. Devontae Adams should be able to, negate that immediately with Jalen Ramsey. He can pretty much get his numbers on anybody, it feels like right now. This is going to be probably the biggest home field advantage in Los Angeles football history. Like, there is infinitely amount more Raiders fans than Rams fans in Los Angeles. No doubt about that. Plus, they just travel well. I don't see a scenario where the Rams win this game when it's either the Wolfman, Baker Mayfield 4 days off of being signed, or Bryce Perkins at quarterback. With Tutu Atwell as their best receiving option.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree. I think that all logic points towards the Rams winning this game, or excuse me, the Raiders winning this game. I do think the Rams. I still like their defense enough, and I don't know. The Raiders defense has been disappointing this year. Like, it's not that crazy that they could. If this Rams team is going to score 20 points, this is the game they're going to do it.
Maybe. I don't know. I'm going. Give me whatever the prop is. I would take Raiders -6.5. And I would take whatever the prop is for Max Crosby over sacks. I don't care what the number is. Give me the over.
Sure. Yeah.
Over
Understandable.
2.5, over 3.5, over 4.5. No, I'm just kidding. Probably not that high. But I would go high for that over. I think he's going to dominate this game. This Rams offensive line's bad too.
Yeah. I understand all of that. Let's move on. So I'm going to give you a game here, which means that we're leaving one game unpicked. I wonder which game we're not going to pick. We will talk about it at the end. I'm giving you Chiefs Broncos. I don't know. Is there any chance? So the Chiefs 9.5-point underdogs, or excuse me, Broncos 9.5-point underdogs. Is there any chance this Broncos defense could give Mahomes some trouble? Which, I mean, that I think is possible. But then the flip side is, could this Broncos offense wake up this week? Probably not, right?
No, absolutely not. This is not happening.
Yeah.
This was my third pick for a lock behind. If I didn't get the Vikings or the Raiders, this was my pick for a lock.
Uh-huh.
The Chiefs are going to dominate this game. They're coming off a loss, so they're going to be angry. They're going to come out motivated. And I mean, if you just look at it, the Broncos have scored what? Let me pull it up here. I just had this in front of me. Okay, they scored over 20 points twice this season. Once in a loss to the Raiders, and once in a win, 21-17 win over the Jaguars, which was, I think, overseas. That was in London, right? Something like that. The last few weeks, they've scored 9, 10, 16, 10. They averaged 13 points a game. You telling me Patrick Mahomes isn't going to get 24 points in a professional football game? No, right. Absolutely not. Chiefs are going to dominate this game. They're going to win this game by 20. This Broncos team's pathetic. Russell Wilson is playing bad football. This isn't going to happen. No, give me the Chiefs and the points.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with any of that. I think that's totally fair. I mean, you're absolutely right, Kyle. This Broncos team would be the best team in the AFC if they scored 20 points every game.
Yeah, it would be. It would be very good. They probably win the division, like I said they would. But that's not really how it works, unfortunately. And this secondary is good, so maybe they have success that way. But I don't know. Like, sure, they have success, but it's a different animal playing Kansas City.
Right. No, you're right. Yeah. If they hold Kansas City at 24 points, they come out of it feeling great. If this offense scores 6, they're coming out of it feeling good.
Yeah, honestly. This is it's a rough showing right now. And I don't know. It feels like every week we're hearing something new about how frustrated it is with people with this offense and with Russell Wilson and all the stuff on the sidelines and all this. Just doesn't seem like a good look for this team right now.
Kyle, I watched the tape of that game. I mean, they're on third down and fives. They're running the ball. They're throwing these screen passes on needing like 4 yards. I mean, they're treating Russell Wilson like the Jets treated Zach Wilson. What is it with the Wilsons?
Yeah. I mean, what do they have? So they had 52 play. I don't know. It just seemed baffling that they couldn't move the ball at all. I know the Ravens defense is solid, but like you couldn't get more than 9 points. Like I don't understand what this team's doing. I really don't. This is just uh, it's frustrating, right? Like I don't know. We expected so much more from this. Like we just thought, even if you thought Wilson's like, because he hadn't played as well the year before, and it was like
Mhm.
even if he slipped a little, we didn't expect this.
Yeah, they were decent last year with what was it, Bridgewater? Like, yeah,
Yeah,
you have to fire Hackett, right? You just have to.
I think so.
I
I
don't
mean,
think it's
what?
all his fault, but it's just like you got it. Just you got to try something.
Yeah, I mean, so they play Kansas City, they play Arizona. I could see them losing both of those games. They play Christmas Day at the Los Angeles Rams. I don't know who wants to see that on Christmas Day.
Yeah, who's
We're
going
not
to that
watching
game?
that. We're not watching that game. That's for sure.
No.
um,
Yes.
then back at Kansas City, and then home for Los Angeles Chargers this time, so that's a little better. Like they're probably 1-4 down the stretch, maybe at best.
Yeah. No, it's it's not great.
Yeah, it's a bad team. But you know what else? I mean, are you good on this game?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely.
Okay. You know who else is a bad team? The Houston Texans, who are back to Davis Mills. Not talking about this game, not picking this game like you said. 16 and a half points. That's a lot. Who are you betting?
So you were saying that you were considering locking up the Cowboys. I think that would be a fun pick, just because, like, it's always fun to when there's a big spread to bet on the Cowboys covering in this scenario. I don't know. Give me Give me the Texans plus 16 and a half. That's right. I'm riding Mills Mafia. I just feel like they're going to run the ball every single play, and that's going to just cause possessions to get lower and allow them to stay within 16 and a half. They're a bad team. They're going to lose this game. They're very much not good. The Cowboys are very good. I could see them winning by 40, but I don't know. I'll root for the Texans. Why not?
Are you willing to risk a point for this one?
Sure, let's do that. Let's bet it. Let's
Okay.
bet a point on the Texans Cowboys. I like that.
Against the spread, winner, loser gets a point. We'll do that.
Yes.
All right.
Uh-huh.
So Mills going back there, I don't think that changes much. This Cowboys team should be able to create a lot of turnovers. This Cowboys team should be able to dominate the line of scrimmage. This Cowboys team should be able to dominate this football game. I don't see any scenario the Texans make this close.
Yeah, Texans have the worst offense in terms of EPA. Cowboys the best defense, so that's a bit of a mismatch there.
That is a bit of a mismatch. I guess the one thing, like this Texans secondary, and a lot of it's because they play safeties like 20 yards downfield because they're like, just don't give up 70-yard scores all the time, it feels like. Like, it's not the worst coverage unit. So, like, can they, slow down this Dallas offense a little bit? I don't know. This team's bad. This is one of the worst football teams I've watched in a long
Yeah,
time.
not a good team. What I got to say about the Cowboys, though, their secondary's been so good. Their drop back drop back game has been so good defensively. You can't beat them through the ground. 19th best rush EPA. That's one way you can have success against them.
Yeah, it certainly is. But I mean,
It
even
won't
then,
matter in
like
this game,
we
but I'm just saying.
yeah, I mean, we talked about success rate. They're the sixth best rushing defense success rate this season. So like I know the defensive EPA rushing isn't that great, but on a down to down basis, they have success.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's maybe that's the hope.
There's no hope, man. We don't have the hope is that they cover 17 points.
Listen, they were totally in that Browns game if they didn't Kyle Allen didn't give 2 touchdowns to the other team and the defense giving another one.
Yeah, but that was because they were playing a quarterback who hadn't played a real football game in 2 years.
Hey,
And that
all
was
right.
the only reason they were in the game.
Lovie Smith is tell you one thing. If they don't have a game plan for cover 2 zone, they're in trouble.
You better watch out.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, we covered that game. I like how we have something writing on every game now, which is should be fun. Yeah. Kyle, that's your show.
That is our show. What a way to end it there. Talking some Texans football. Looking forward to it again.
I think next week let's just do all Texans talk.
We could talk about how Bryce Young fits in the team or something. That'll be fun.
Yeah, that would actually be interesting. So that would be very different than usual Texans.
Actually, talking Texans football. That's fair.
Yeah. Kyle, let them know where we can find us on Twitter before we head out.
Yeah, make sure to follow us on Twitter. That is at Jackson Kruger. Make sure to follow me at by Kyle Grondin, and make sure to follow the account page at On the Sideline JK. That's at On the Sideline JK.
Yeah. Anywhere you get your podcast, the audio only feed. What am I saying? If you like listening to your podcast, the audio only feed is available anywhere you get your podcast. That's On the Sideline podcast. So check that out. And yeah, Kyle, any final thoughts?
Looking forward to week 14. Looking forward to some more World Cup action. Looking forward to bowl season. We got some stuff going. Football is brewing.
I almost thought you were saying bowling season.
No, bowl season.
I could see you getting into bowling.
No, I'm not that good.
I mean, like watching.
Oh, watching bowling? Oh, even worse. No, I don't like. What is the dumb sport that I actually watch? I don't know. I get really into like handball when the Olympics are on.
Okay, I can see that.
Like that's
Nikita Kucherov played handball growing up.
Did he? Oh.
That's which kind of explains how he plays, right? Because he is very pass happy and stuff.
Yeah, but that is a fun sport to watch. They really go crazy in that game.
Yeah, I can get into curling.
Curling is fun. Mm-hmm. Curling, beach volleyball, those are staples for Winter and Summer Olympics.
Beach volleyball is just the worst. I can't. It's all that's on. It's women's beach volleyball every time. I want to watch like actual. I don't know why is that the only one. But I mean, I know why it's the one that everyone watches. But like, I want to watch the actual games.
I don't know. I still think it's pretty fun.
I guess it's interesting. I'm just saying I don't like how that's all the Olympics is beach volleyball.
It does seem like it is on a lot. That's fair. But you watch the best matchups. I mean, there is like ping pong's competitive. Like those are always fun. I'm trying to think what else. Synchronized diving is the only one I cannot do it during the Olympics. And like riflery stuff, I just can't do it.
My thing about the Olympics, why are we talking about the Olympics? My thing about the Olympics is that what drives me crazy about it is how I try to get into it, but then like they don't tell you when this stuff's happening. Like there's no way to easily check, okay, this is when the stuff happens, and then it'll happen, but then like I'll be watching it and it'll be like a banner at the bottom saying like USA wins gold, like as I'm watching like the thing happening on the show where it's supposed to be live. Like it's so poorly, like the World Cup, I can get into it because I can Google World Cup. And then all of a sudden, all the games, all the times, I know exactly what's happening. I know the bracket and everything. They need to get better. They need to work with Google to give me an easy format to pay attention to with the Olympics.
Yeah, NBC has done a terrible job with it. I will say that they continue.
If it was on like Peacock last year, I don't know.
Yeah, they continue to blow me away with how bad they are at everything. That's for sure. But Fox is not having the best World Cup coverage. That's for sure.
Okay, what's wrong with that?
Just a lot of like it seems like Henry sort of stuff. But I mean, they've been okay overall. I hate the commentators who I forget the guy's name. The guy who does all the US games. 45 down, 45 to go is the worst call that you could ever have. I don't understand how that's supposed to be like get me excited when he says it at halftime. It drives me crazy every time I hear it.
Okay, well, there's our review of what's wrong with that? Feels like a normal thing to say.
I don't know. I every time I hear it, I just think you got to think of something better than this. It doesn't matter. Brazil's winning the World Cup. This is over already.
You think so?
Yeah.
No Argentina hope.
No, they're way better than everybody else.
Okay. Well, we'll see.
Neymar's on another level. He's going for the record. Richarlison's on a heater. Like they're not being stopped.
You're not high on the Netherlands.
No,
they looked pretty good against US. And US is great, so I mean, US was everyone was saying they were the favorites. So in the fact that
is that what people are? Honestly,
yeah, I think so.
Like I don't see anybody else beating them. I really don't.
Okay, well, we'll see if that how that works out. Thank you to everybody again. We do appreciate it, and until next time, see you later, alligator.
Peace.